Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I am your host, Carson Becker. We are back talking about college football. We're now in week 6 of the college football season. It's absolutely flown by so far. We've had a lot of great games, a lot of great weekends. This weekend should be pretty good as well. Maybe not as good as last weekend. Last weekend was pretty good. Probably one of the better weekends we're going to see other than championship weekend, maybe rivalry weekend. Should have some great football there. So not as good of a weekend, but still a good game. Still some good games. We got good SEC games. We got a Big Ten game. We got Big 12. We got some good games this week, and we're going to go ahead and start it right off with the SEC. Looking at a Kentucky versus Georgia game. Georgia now 12th in the country after losing to Alabama at home. Great game there. That was a great game last week. This one could be a good game. Kentucky 2-2 on the season. They've given some teams some trouble. They gave Ole Miss a good run for their money, only losing to them by 7. So a good game for them there if they kind of do that with Georgia. Georgia has started off pretty slow in a lot of games this year and really haven't put up that many points. So maybe Kentucky hangs in there for a little while. Obviously, Georgia coming off that loss to Alabama at home, looking to start that home win streak again. They got it up to 33 last time. Who knows? They could go even higher this time. Who knows? They are favored by 20 and a half in this one, so they are expected to win pretty big. I think they're looking at a huge bounce back week here. They might put up 50 in this one, or they might not really score. They haven't really scored that many points, so I don't know if they'll put up 50, but they've started slow in some games. Kentucky kind of hangs around maybe in the first half here, and then Georgia kind of runs away with it in the second half. I think that's probably about how this one's going to go. Or Georgia's just going to come out just firing because they're still mad about that loss to Alabama. So one way or the other, I think Georgia wins this one. Kentucky maybe keeps it close to the first half. That's my prediction for that game. Noon kickoff there on ABC. Should be a relatively good game, 20 and a half spread. Not looking to be too great of a game. Now, this next game, we're going to the Big 12 here. Number 14, Iowa State will be going to Cincinnati. And you're thinking this probably isn't going to be that great of a game. Cincinnati unranked. They're 3-1. Iowa State 14th. They beat a good Kansas State team early in the season. They've undefeated so far. But Cincinnati is favored at home at the moment. So that's kind of why I'm keeping an eye on this one. Cincinnati being favored by 1.5 at this point. Iowa State, they looked really good. They're undefeated overall and in the Big 12. Cincinnati, I think, is 1-0 in the Big 12, so also undefeated in the Big 12. But coming in as underdogs, Rocco Becht has played really well this season, beating some good teams. Kansas State, like I said earlier, they beat Iowa as well, their rivalry game, and a close one in Iowa. They beat Arizona as well this season. So Iowa State's been winning. They've looked pretty good. I think it could be a good game. I haven't really paid that much attention to Cincinnati, so I'm not really sure how good Cincinnati actually is. Their record shows that they're pretty good. But this could be a relatively good game. Also a noon kickoff. So look for this one to be maybe be a little bit closer than you would think. Could be a high-scoring game, Big 12 game, even though the Big 12 really hasn't been putting up points like that this year. But could be a good game there. Watch out for that one. Also noon kickoff, just like Kentucky, Georgia. So could be a good game. I think I have Iowa State winning that one anyway, even though they're an underdog technically in that one. I think I have them winning that one in Cincinnati. So we will next go to the SEC. Number 9, Texas going into Gainesville. This could be a tougher game than people may think. I know playing in Gainesville's a tough stadium to play in. Texas has looked pretty good this year, but Arch Manning has struggled. Their offense has really struggled so far this year. So I think it's really going to be how well does Texas offense play in this one. So they do have the one loss to Iowa State. Like we all know, first week of the season, threw Arch Manning into the gauntlet right away, into a loud horseshoe environment. But he's got another loud environment to go into in Gainesville. Florida had a little bit of a disappointing season so far. They had the loss to South Florida, and so a little disappointing here. But they are playing at home. Texas favored by 6.5, pretty low spread here. I like this one to stay close. I do. I like this one to stay close. I think Texas offense has not looked good. Florida, they haven't really looked good either on offense. I think the difference is going to be Texas's defense, and so I think that's going to really play a big factor here. Can Florida put up some points on their defense, and can Arch Manning come out and play pretty well in a tough environment? He didn't play that well in Columbus in the first week, but it was the first week, so we gave him a little bit of leadway there. Then he comes out the next 2 games, 3 games, and he really doesn't play that well in any of those games. Maybe Sam Houston, I guess you could say he played okay, but I mean, he didn't really play that well in any of those games. He hasn't really played well all season. Came in as the Heisman favorite, which was unrealistic standards for a sophomore quarterback, a first year starting quarterback. So it was kind of just him being a Manning just gave him all the expectations of being a great quarterback right away, and it was unfair to him. But at this point, he needs to prove that he's a good quarterback, or they could go down and lose in Gainesville if they don't play well. So look for this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to, can Florida put up points on the Texas defense? Can they put up points on the Texas defense? And how well does Texas offense play as well in that one? I think it's really going to come down to the defense of Texas and how many points Florida can actually put up on that defense. Because I see Texas scoring some points, but how many? I don't know. It depends on how Arch Manning plays. So we'll see with that one. I think I am going to take Texas to win that one, but in a very close game, comes down to like last possession. I think the defense of Texas gets a stop, like on the last drive, as Florida's driving down to like tie the game or something. That's my prediction. Texas to win, advance to 4-1. Florida continue to have a rough season, but at this point, this would be their third straight ranked loss. So I mean, it's not even like it was that bad for Florida. You know, they have the most brutal schedule we've seen, so should be a good game there. We next will go to the ACC with the newly ranked UVA Cavaliers, Virginia Cavaliers, coming off a great win against Florida State at home, 24th in the country, but they had to go on the road against an undefeated Louisville team. Louisville, a team not a lot of people are talking about. Louisville is favored by 6.5 in this one. That's a pretty big spread against a top 25 team. It's one of the biggest spreads we've seen against a top 25 team on the road, playing an unranked team. That's a huge spread for an unranked team to have over a ranked team. So a lot of people liking Louisville in this one. Louisville undefeated. They are 4-0 this season. Haven't paid much attention to Louisville either. Another one of those teams that I'm not really sure how good they are. But a 6.5 point spread and a 61.5 point total. They're not looking at a lot of defense in this one. And I think UVA's offense is just going to be a little too much for Louisville's defense. And Louisville's offense just isn't going to put up enough points, I don't think, to ride this one out. And, you know, UVA is going to come in and they're gonna put up some points like we saw. They're gonna put up some points. And can Louisville do the same? Louisville, they've been putting up some points this year. They've put up some points. They put up 34 against Pitt, 40 against Bowling Green, 28 against JMU. That's their lowest was 28, and then 51 against Eastern Kentucky. So they've put up some points, but I don't know if they can keep up with this Virginia offense. I really like that Virginia quarterback. He's really good. He played really well in the last game against Florida State. So I really like that, but I think I'm going to have UVA going on the road, winning this one. I think 6.5 point favorite is crazy for Louisville here. So give me UVA in that one, and probably a pretty close one, but a high scoring one. So I'll take UVA. Now we're going to stay in the ACC, go to number 3, Miami, going to Tallahassee here. Should be a great game. Miami coming in with the undefeated. Florida State obviously coming in with the 1 loss. So should be a great game. Miami at third in the country. Florida State 18th in the country. Carson Beck has played very well this season. Miami is favored by 3.5 on the road in this one. And I think this should be a great game. I think it's going to be really close. And I think it's going to come down to, can Florida State put up points on the Miami defense? Miami's defense has looked really good this season. They are playing in their first ACC game, got to go down into Tallahassee, a night game in Tallahassee. You know that crowd's going to be rocking. You know it's going to be really loud. Carson Beck's really going to have to adjust. Now, he should have a lot of practice playing in the SEC with a lot of loud stadiums there. And he's played really well. He's played a lot better than he did in the SEC, but the ACC is not the SEC. So, but look for Carson Beck to really kind of take over this game. I feel like in the last game, they kind of just did check downs and really kind of just ran the ball over that Florida team. I'm kind of expecting a little more offensive firepower from Carson Beck in this one. Look for them to pass the ball a lot more. I think they still get that run game involved because that run game was killer in the last game. Florida State, on the other hand, they obviously we're still talking about the great win against Alabama, but at this point, you got to put that one in the past. They lost to UVA on the road, which is just not really a game you can lose, especially not an ACC game this early in the season when you still have to play Miami. So they're looking for a bounce-back game in this one. They'll need to put up some points on that Miami defense. And that Miami defense is very, very good. So watch out. I think that should be a great game. That's also a night game, 7:30 kickoff. Miami, Florida State, the rivalry. It's back. And I got a little stat here for you. Miami leads the series 36-33. It's always a great game when this game comes on. It's always great. The last couple of years, it's been a little off. But other than that, it's been like a one-possession game every time they play. So I'm going to look for that as well. I think Miami maybe wins by like 2 touchdowns. I think maybe Florida State's driving at the end of the game or something. They throw a pick. Miami takes it back for a touchdown or something like that. I think they're up 2 scores in this one. I don't think they win by 1. But I think Miami's defense is a little too much for Florida State's offense. And Miami goes in and wins this one in a pretty close one, but a good game in Tallahassee. And last but not least, the best game, if you could say, on this weekend. Game day will be in Tuscaloosa for number 16 Vanderbilt versus number 10 Alabama. As we all know, Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year in Nashville. Alabama looking for revenge in that one. Diego Pavia still there, the quarterback that beat him last year. He's been talking to the media, not like talking anything crazy in the media, but he says it's going to be a fun game. I think Alabama's seeing this game, and they've had it circled on their schedule all since they lost last year. They're going to come out firing. At least they should come out firing like they did against Georgia. So they got up 14-0 to Georgia early. I think they should do that with Vanderbilt, but they should make it even more. They should go up by 21, 28-0 early. Just really put it to them, come out firing. They're going to have to stop that weird offense that Vanderbilt runs. They like to run the option. They like to run Diego Pavia a lot. So watch that for Alabama's defense. Alabama's defense is really going to have to step up like they did against Georgia. So, and as we know, last season they beat Georgia at home, and then they went to Nashville and lost to Vanderbilt. This year, Alabama's got to make sure that doesn't happen. They go to Georgia, beat Georgia, and then come back and play Vanderbilt. They got to make sure history does not repeat itself in this one. I do think Alabama wins this one. I think they get up. I hope they get up early. I think they will get up early. But I think Vanderbilt hangs around a little bit more than people may think. Vanderbilt's just a tough team. Diego Pavia is a tough guy. He plays really well. They like to run the ball. He's not afraid to air it out as well. I think Alabama's defense is really going to have to play really well in this one. They're going to have to play like they did in that Georgia game, and their offense is going to have to come out firing, put up some points on the board. And honestly, you hope it's not a shootout if you're an Alabama fan, because you don't want to see Vanderbilt hang around any longer than they need to. So I think Vanderbilt hangs around for like the first half maybe, and then Alabama kind of pushes away in the second half and beats them by 17 or more, we'll say like 17 for Alabama. So that should be another great game this weekend. And we got some other good games, some other ranked teams that are playing some good games that I just didn't talk about. So there's a bunch of games. There's games actually Thursday tonight. There's games Friday as well. Maybe not the best games, but there are games. Michigan has to play Wisconsin. Wisconsin hasn't looked great. Illinois, Purdue. Illinois does have to go into Purdue. Purdue, sometimes a tough stadium. Usually not a tough stadium. Usually a tough stadium at night, not necessarily during the day, so not much there. You got Clemson going to play Bill Belichick, that North Carolina team that's not looked great, but Clemson hasn't looked great either. Clemson 14.5-point favorites in that one. I like that game just to see if Bill Belichick goes and beats Dabo Swinney in that one. So I like that one. Texas Tech has to go to Houston. Both undefeated teams there. That should be a great game. Texas Tech favored by 11.5. 52.5 over under. Expecting some points in that one. Texas Tech, very good team there. So expecting a lot. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Mississippi State 4-1. Texas A&M 4-0 and 6th in the country. Could be a little bit of a trap game for Texas A&M there. Mississippi State has played really well this season. That is also a night game, 7:30. So I think that could be a good game as well if you're interested in something like that. And that is all the games I would talk about today. Thank you for watching. I am your host, Carson Becker, and I will see you next time.